West Virginia beat itself today. That's exactly how this game went. The better team did not win.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. Welcome to a somber edition of Locked On West Virginia, where we're talking about the Mountaineers on the football side again today. Joined here with Jackson Johnson. Thank you so much for coming on, brother.
How you doing today, good buddy?
Not great. Not great at all. Thank you guys for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every single day, the Mountaineers. Arizona State pulls this thing out 25-23. West Virginia outscores them 13-3 in the fourth quarter after Arizona State blitzes West Virginia in the second quarter. West Virginia wins the first quarter. You win the fourth quarter. The third quarter was a tie, but you can't overcome that second quarter where you made Jeff Sims look like the second coming.
Yeah.
If I told you that Scotty Fox Jr. had over 150 yards more in the air than Sims, would you believe me based on how that game looked? Because that's what happened. West Virginia outgains Arizona State. They outplayed Arizona State in a lot of ways. They absolutely made their share of mistakes in the game. But I don't walk away from this game feeling like Arizona State was that much better than West Virginia at all, at least this iteration of Arizona State. Now, if you add their quarterback Levitt in and other things, like, yeah, maybe they are. But in this game today, West Virginia beat themselves. Arizona State didn't do that. I give Arizona credit where it's due. They definitely played well enough to win, but West Virginia gave it to them more than. And I don't come on here and say this. When West Virginia loses, it's usually there's a bunch of reasons for it. Well, in this case, there's all the personal foul calls. I don't know how many there were in this game. At least 3 that I know of. Fred Perry has yet another one today. Obviously, the one that hurts the worst.
When he knocked that guy down for a little bit, I was like, "Oh no, dude, no."
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, half his yardage he threw for 353 yards. I want to redo your math there. At the end of the day, you still have to make the correct read. You still have to make the pass. I mean, if you credit other players for yards they get after the catch, then you're going to be subtracting thousands of yards from quarterbacks across college football. It's like, I don't understand. Like, which way do you want it? Do you want to give the kid credit for having 350 yards, or do you want to say that it was the other players that got yards after the catch? I mean, whichever it is. I was proud of Sincere, obviously. That's exactly what I thought that we would see out of him this year.
Oh, my God. That 90-yard touchdown on 3rd and 27 at the West Virginia 10.
It was good.
Toledo, that was awesome.
It was good, but it was short-lived, obviously. West Virginia made the mistakes on the next drive with the roughing the passer, with the Braden Siders, that really put them in field goal range. Without that, I don't think they get there. I think that they were already sputtering. We gifted them that game, absolutely 100%. There were also multiple drop balls in this game. I'm not going to call anybody out, but there were multiple drop balls in this game. I'm just really frustrated with that. I don't want to say there's a discipline issue or anything like that, because their whole thing is they play really hard all the time. And it's kind of like with Bob Huggins' teams on basketball, like they pressed or they were really, really aggressive, and you just kind of take the fouls, because that's what comes with that style. And I think that's similar here. You just kind of take it with West Virginia. This is their style. And it's unfortunate, but it wins you some games, it loses you some games. So, I don't know. Arizona State moves to 6-3 on the year. West Virginia moves to 4-7. Will not be bowl eligible, which is crappy because in your first year, getting to a bowl is pretty important, but not as important as it used to be because let's be honest here, Jackson, this roster is going to flip again. And, West Virginia is going to be in another mini rebuild next year as well. I don't know how many new players they're going to have, but I would imagine it's probably going to be in the 50s, 60s maybe. So although not 80 or 81, I think you're going to be more stable and you can win next year with that. Maybe you can do what Arizona State's doing right now, be 6-3 or.
Okay, so West Virginia is 8th in the APR rankings. That is if West Virginia can beat Texas Tech 2 weeks from now, and if there's not enough bowl eligible teams for 2025. I'm looking at that, and
okay, I see where you're going. There's a chance they could still go to a bowl game. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So if they beat Texas Tech, then that puts them at number 1 most likely in the APR, correct?
They're number 8 in the Big 12 for APR. So I'm looking at the rest of the Big 12, right? Cincinnati's 1. They don't need the APR. Number 2 is Iowa State. No, they don't need
Explain to everybody what the APR is so that they know.
It's the academic progress rate. And it's been a rule since 2014 to where if you're 5-7 and if you don't have enough, if you don't have the, bowl eligible wins at 6 wins, you can go 5-7, but you basically have to have a good APR record from 2 years ago. You do that, you're really going to be good to go. But we're looking at the Big 12, right? Kansas State is 3 in the APR rankings for the 2025 year, right?
Right.
And they shouldn't necessarily need to worry about having to go 5-7 because the rest of their games are Utah and Colorado. I mean, they'll beat Colorado.
Well, we'll cross that bridge if we somehow beat Texas Tech. Obviously, we're gonna have to get another win, but it's just going to be almost impossible. But then I thought today was.
Oh yeah.
Remember, Arizona State beat Texas Tech, albeit with the full team. So, I don't think this iteration would beat them. But anyways, so I think people can disagree with who it's on or whatever, but my feeling is this: you're on the road. You've won 4 games on the year. It's not like you're fighting for the conference.
No,
you go for it on 4th down. Like you when you're on the road in a hostile environment against a team like that, you take all your shots. So it's easy to criticize Rich Rod in hindsight and say that we should have kicked the field goals when we were down there, and it would have made a difference in this game. But then it would have also changed how Arizona State played. And so there's just too many factors. But I get what people are saying. Every point does count. I'm not disagreeing necessarily. But I'm just saying it's easy to criticize it in hindsight and say that he should have kicked it.
Right, Raggy. Central Florida has a higher APR ranking. So what West Virginia is going to need is Texas Tech to keep smacking Central Florida off the face of the earth right now. And they're going to need Oklahoma State to pull off an upset over Central Florida, and for BYU to really put the hurt on Central Florida.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that next week or whenever after all these things get done, we'll cover them. I appreciate that, Jackson.
You're welcome, man.
For letting everybody know what that was. But I mean, I don't know, there's people in here saying that he went to it for too much. There's people saying he was too conservative. Everybody's got an opinion. At the end of the day, this roster is very limited, and I think he's getting way more out of it. Like, let's just step back from all this for a second. Actually, we'll go to break, but just look and see what we're doing right now with what we have. Brighter days are ahead. I'm pissed, but man, he's coaching. In my opinion, he's coaching his butt off right now. getting this team to play when they've only got 4 wins on the year. You come into this thing winning 2 straight. I'm proud of him for the most part. We'll talk about that next. And Scotty Fox, has he solidified himself as the future? We'll talk about that too. But we can't talk about it without talking about DoorDash, which is what Jackson Johnson loves, his DoorDash. It's almost a weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP who delivered, powered by DoorDash. And just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For West Virginia, obviously Harlan Obioha delivered in a big way. 8 for 9 from the field, 19 points, and just an amazing breakout performance and win over the Pitt Panthers in the backyard brawl. When the pressure was on, he came through, no hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, this was not a performance. It wasn't a fluke. Harlan Obioha's on a streak. And just like Harlan Obioha delivered for West Virginia, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250 in bonus bets and $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash where the terms apply. Promo code through 11/18. All right. So let me get this banner off the screen, guys. I'm a little out of sorts.
7-2, get ready for the Kraken.
No, I'm not even. Not when we lose. It's not a good day, Jackson. There's a reason I asked you to come on because I'm just frustrated and I don't want to vent the whole time and just be negative because I could be.
Well, I'll tell you this. This
not,
season is exactly like Houston from last season.
Yeah.
Think about what 2026 is going to be.
Right.
You're going to see some magic from West Virginia.
You know, I had Connor Onion on yesterday, and I wanted to do a video on this today. I'm going to clip the video. I'll just clip the video. I was going to show it to you, but I'm not allowed to. Anyway, so I had Connor Onion who called the Houston-West Virginia game. I also had him on. He also called the West Virginia Pitt basketball game. He called the Cincinnati-Houston game today. Was it Cincinnati-Houston? Whoever Cincinnati played.
Cincinnati, Arizona today.
Arizona. So he called that game today, and he said something very interesting on the show. He said West Virginia should have double or triple the NIL they had next year. And I think that was, they had that conversation during conversations leading up to the backyard brawl week. So just wanted to point that out, that he said that on the show, and very interesting, obviously. He would know, considering that I'm sure Rich Rod could have never thought I was going to have him on the show and ask him about it. But anyways, so with that said, I'm curious what West Virginia is going to do this coming year because Scotty Fox Jr., I mean, look, yes, he has some issues as far as for now during this young phase of his career, Jackson. Yeah, he's on his first read, and that's pretty much it. But he showed a lot of guts today. Did he not?
Oh,
I mean, can we just take a step back and look at what he did today?
Oh, man.
Like, yeah, sure, you can say the thing to Brown was or not to Brown, but Spencer Bowers is a large portion of his yardage. I mean, even without that, he still has 250 yards. So, I was proud of him. He made several nice passes to Cam Vaughn. He threw a great bomb to Jeff Weimer. And, he really played. I mean, look, you got 353 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. So, I felt like he really represented himself well. And he's making it really, really hard for this coaching staff to say no to him for next year. I mean, seriously.
I like Bowers.
Yeah, no, Scotty Fox, the quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
He's not the running quarterback that I wish we had, but he's such a great passer. And I just wonder if Rich Rod is willing to sacrifice. He can run it good. He can run it. Not saying he can't. It's just not Pat White, like those kind of, like we're used. What I had in mind for West Virginia was at some point Rich Rodriguez is going to get some electric quarterback that nobody can stop. It's like Lamar Jackson type players. Like whenever he gets one of those, that's when this offense truly goes to the next level. Like Jeff Sims today is a sort of an example because you just erase mistakes, you outrun angles. You can call the wrong play, they'll still get positive yards. And we need a guy like Jeff Sims that's 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", that can take those hits over and over again. You need a running quarterback that's capable of running it 10 or 15 times a game and really making people pay, and is capable for going for 150 or 180 in a game if you need him to.
Yeah, I mean, like Scotty, I think it's gonna be awesome with Scotty Fox. And we saw that today. Because he does awesome when his back is against the wall, especially on 3rd and 27 at the West Virginia 10. That makes me think we're going to see more awesomeness from Scotty Fox in 2026, 2027. You're going to see a lot of pro teams call for him in the 2028 draft. I mean, Todd McShay, Mel Kiper may not be thinking about him, but we don't need Mel Kiper and Todd McShay to be thinking about him. I'm telling you right now, Scotty Fox, he's bringing that Morgantown magic to West Virginia, as we saw today. I mean, yeah, West Virginia lost today, but Scotty Fox is the bright side of today. I cannot wait
to see
what all those guys are going to bring next year.
Look, West Virginia is down to its 4th or 5th string, whichever one you want to say, quarterback. It's down to a linebacker at running back. Your third receiver he decided to just quit on the team, right? That's what happened. I mean, let's just be honest with that, right? That's what happened. So that's how I feel. And Oron Singleton, by the way, Oron Singleton was supposed to be one of your big-time playmakers, and he would have made plays this year for us. And he quit on the team, decided to redshirt himself or whatever he did. So that's a player. Obviously, I've mentioned it several times, but Jalen Knighton was supposed to be here, but he wasn't eligible. Obviously, Ty Edwards and Jaheim White both got hurt. Like, there's so much here for Rich Rod to say we have excuses over, but they're not using them. And they're, a matter of fact, you almost went on the road and beat a team that had a bye week to prepare for you. You should have won the game. You got stopped on 4th down twice in your own red zone. Yes. Rich Rod said it multiple times. His philosophy is if he's past the 40, he's going for it.
Well, and I think it was a bad move using up all the timeouts way too early.
Well, that's not on him as much, though, because we have a freshman quarterback that and on defense, one of the timeouts was for defense as well, because they were too slow getting on and off the field. So, like, it's, I mean, it was a bad move, Jackson. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's not all on Rich Rod. There were other things going on. One time it was the substitution was late and they made us pay. We didn't have a choice. Like, it's either that or you take the penalty. So, and Rich Rod was so furious. You could tell he's just fighting with these kids to get them in the right spots. And there was another time when they only had 10 players on the field. And if you just snap the ball like a veteran quarterback would, you score, right? And not only that, the play you had drawn up was given away because it was so loud in there that a couple of the players actually ran the concept. And so they got a peek at it. So what did West Virginia do? They ran the same concept, but ran the ball instead the next play. It was going to be a pass play. So, there was just so many instances like that today where West Virginia was in a good spot and made mistakes. And a lot of it has to do with youth. A lot of it has to do with the first year. A lot of it has to do with, Rich Rod makes mistakes too. I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm a defender of his, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like he didn't make any mistakes. All coaches make mistakes. It's just like there are certain things you need your players to do. It's not always the coach's fault. If there's 10 guys on the field, that needs to be on your checklist, right? Like every team has a guy on offense that counts the guys on defense every single down. It's just what they do. They make sure, and it's just a quick thing, right? Usually the quarterback, but with the freshman, that's like an extra thing you add to his plate. And in the heat of the moment, he's not doing that. But a veteran like Jeff Sims, who's been around for 6 years, who's way more, the game's way more slowed down for him, is going to notice that you have 10 players on the field. And while that guy's jumping up and down on the sideline saying, hey, get somebody in here, you're going to see that and go, set that, and get that thing off and score. But West Virginia couldn't because Scotty Fox is young. So I think that, West Virginia was still able to do what they did today in spite of all that. Scotty Fox Jr. still had a performance today to be proud of, because those guys at TNT, I don't know if anybody watched the halftime show, but they said, look, Scotty Fox is a one-read quarterback. Arizona State's exposing him. And a lot of that's true. But they, and I think they were saying Champ Bailey, he said, that's why I hold reserve judgment until they get tape on a guy. Basically trying to say that Scotty Fox was maybe not as good as he had looked in other games this year versus Houston and TCU because you caught people off guard or what have you. And I thought he represented himself really well in the second half, considering. So for me, I think there's a lot of positives to gain from this. It just hurts in the moment. But this is a team that we should have won this game.
Great.
And could have won this game. And, Arizona State didn't always play its best either. I mean, if you look, they were very efficient today. But you held a team that's one of the best rushing teams in the Big 12 to a pretty good yardage total, 123 yards. If you'd told me that before the game, that Arizona State only had 123 rushing yards after their quarterback put up 230 last week on Iowa State alone, I would have said, oh, yeah, we probably want to win that game. Jeff Sims was 19 of 28 for 207 yards, but he had 3 touchdowns. You know why? Because they had short fields, because West Virginia was continuously getting 15-yard penalties. West Virginia was continuously giving them short fields because of shank punts. How many punts did Oliver Strauss shank today? 3? I mean, you can't overcome all that and still win. You can't not get it on 4th down in the red zone. You can't have 3 or 4, however many 15-yard penalties. You just can't, have the holding penalty like Cray had, which, I mean, you're going to have some. I get it. But it all compounds onto one another. On top of a freshman who is not very – like the play with Sincere Bowers was all Sincere Bowers, yes. It was lucky. It was a good play call too, though. Like where it was at on the field, what they were doing on defense, it was just the right call to hit it just happened to be that they were playing so deep that Sincere, when he got the ball, was able to make a lot of hay, and I don't think they realized he's as fast as he is, which I've known that.
Yeah,
obviously.
I mean, like that 15-yard penalty on roughing the passer in the 4th quarter.
It killed us. That lost us the game. Us the game. That's not that one. It's not the one play loses you the game, but that one play mattered more.
The Fred Perry one where he just didn't hear the
more
whistle.
Than one. He had 2.
Yeah, it's just yikes. It's. I think on the bright side, I think a lot of these guys at West Virginia, they're going to learn from this mistake. They're going to learn from these mistakes today, and they're going to use it very well for the long term.
Yeah, I think they will, because at the end of the day, when you look at the way that this game unfolded, I think for sure, I'm looking at it from the West Virginia perspective, obviously. I'm looking at this look, I know a lot of you guys are commenting on things, and I'll try to get to that, but basically what I'm trying to say is West Virginia was in a position where their backs were against the wall. They were in a situation where they weren't expected to win. The spread kept growing as the week went on. Scotty Fox is a freshman. We're down 4 quarterbacks. We're down 4 running backs, and they're coming off a bye. Nobody expected us to win. The last time we were in this situation, Kansas blew our doors off. So for West Virginia to represent itself with this much, not only passion, but just the way they played the game today, I was very proud of them. It's just hard in the moment because we lost the game by less than a field goal. So
Yeah.
there's a lot to glean from it, and there's a lot to pull away. I'd like to see some of the advanced numbers on this. I would love to see some of the analytics and the data on it because, you know, I want to see some of the analytics on those Rich Rod plays where he should have, where should maybe some people think he should have kicked the field goal. It's easy to say when you're, what was it, you know, 2-point game or whatever his final score.
Mm-hmm.
What was the final score? 25-23.
25-23.
So, you know, imagine if West Virginia scores touchdown on any one of those plays. What about if Tykees Crawford doesn't get in the way of Curtis Jones Jr.? He scores. All he was going to do is put his arm out and score. And look, I've been hard on those guys this year because he was trying hard to pull him across, right? But it seems like those guys are trying so hard that it's almost like you ever try so hard that it's actually bad. It's you're trying too hard. You're getting in the way and it's not cohesive. I think that's some of it. But, you know, the turnaround this team has had at the end of the day, look, guys, we were getting blown out by 30 a couple weeks ago, right? 40 against similarly talented teams, BYU and Utah. Is Arizona State much worse than them? No, they're not. So West Virginia turned a corner. In this game, you just made too many mistakes. It wasn't that, at least in my opinion anyways, that this team was ill-equipped to win the game or that, you know, all that because, yeah, I'm all about it. I think this team played well. So for those that are mentioning running backs as well, Dior Hubbard's destroyed right now, by the way. I talked to some people this week. Dior Hubbard is absolutely beat to death. Remember, he had an incredible last couple weeks. There's nobody to spell him. Like he was having to take every single carry. So Dior Hubbard, if he was able to play today, would have made a huge difference in this game. Sincere Bowers is not an every down back. Exactly what he did on that 90-yard play is exactly what I thought he would do here. He's a guy that when you're really pushing the pile can get a crease and go for 70 or 80, or a guy that you can dump it off to that can go for 70 or 80. He's not an every down back. So that's number one with him. Number two, we have running backs next year, Ty Edwards and Jaheim White, and Dior Hubbard. Like, I think those guys are pretty good. Now, if you want to go out and get one of the elite of the elite of the elite, I'm okay with that too. But you got to prioritize some things, obviously. I mean, look, your first, second, third, and fourth guy should be offensive tackle, offensive guard, and defensive tackle. Like, next year – that's the first ones. Now, this offensive line is a way better now than it was earlier in the year. So we got to go to break. We're going a little bit too over on this segment. We'll come back. At least Pitt lost today, you know, so I'll touch on that for a minute.
That'll be some glee on segment 3.
Absolutely. We'll be right back. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now with FanDuel, guys, if you didn't know, right now the NBA is back and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who can score next to the fourth quarter comeback. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, new customers can bet $300 in bonus bets with FanDuel when your first $5 bet wins, but you can't win if you don't play. So head to FanDuel.com today to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. $5 will make you holla. Jackson Johnson, the legendary Jackson Johnson. With the Jacksonian. He's also on the Voice of College Football's Alabama channel. Make sure you check it out, guys. He does a great job over there. Okay, so Pitt lost today.
It's
That was at least a
7-3.
good part of the day.
We have some glee here on
Yeah,
Locked On West Virginia.
we have some glee in segment 3. That's right. You know, it's funny because Pitt fans were on their high horse all week about it. And it's not a great time to really make fun of them because we lost. So it's not lost on me that like we lost as well and we've only got 4 wins.
But there's always that win over Pittsburgh from earlier.
But we have the win over Pitt. And the thing is, guys.
Like Pitt can't laugh at you. That's the bright side.
Right. But I mean, they got destroyed. It was 37-7 before Pitt scored as time expired.
Oh,
So
I mean, Jeremiah Love and yeah, oh my God. Like that was so awesome. Like the way he scored that first touchdown over Pitt. And then like 10 seconds later, we see the pick six from
the Pitt, Pitt 6.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, bro. Yeah, they were cheering. Yeah, Tay Johnson. He's a freshman for Notre Dame. He's a freshman safety, I believe.
He is.
And oh my God, he chewed up that Pitt offense like a chicken nugget on that play.
Yeah, he did. But anyways, I just wanted to comment on it. I didn't really want to stay on the whole segment with it, but you know, Pitt obviously wanted to talk about how good they were all week, and they got their money. It's really similar to how it was for us with Penn State last year. We had our moment in the sun all off season, and then we actually played the game, and Penn State was just a lot better than us. I think this is a similar situation. Notre Dame has a bunch of 5 stars. Pitt has some 4 stars and a bunch of 3 stars. So, you know, it matters, especially in games like this where the offensive defensive lines matter. Pitt is a skill talent team, and they have a lot of skill talent linebackers and some safeties, but like they don't have anything inside like they don't have an Aaron Donald. So, you know, but anyways, their schedule is so laughable. Like we brought it up last night, didn't we, Jackson? It's been so bad. Like what was it, 70 or 80th ranked schedule? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, 91st.
Even worse, 91st ranked schedule in the country. Like they really, truly thought, like after losing to West Virginia, they lost to Louisville the very next week, which they almost won that game. And Louisville is a good team.
Pitt lost to a team that lost to Cal in Virginia and lost by a point to Clemson, and basically, shot themselves in the foot plenty of times against Clemson last night.
Right. But, like they beat Boston College, Florida State, Syracuse, who's falling apart, NC State, and Stanford. So they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row while we lost 5 in a row pretty much and thought that they were hot, SHIT, right? So PSA. Is this thing on?
Hello, testing.
Hello.
Hello.
Pitt obviously proved that they were just a product of a schedule that I only wish West Virginia had. I wish that we had their schedule, man. I really do. But I mean, I'm glad we're in the Big 12, but I wish we had the easy teams.
Well, one thing's for sure. I like West Virginia's chances of winning the Big 12 in the future way more than I ever will for Cincinnati under Scott Satterfield.
Yeah.
Because, Satterfield, I've been saying it before, and I'll say it again. You're never going to see him lead Cincinnati to a Big 12 title. That's just not happening.
No, but they are a lot better than I think a lot of people thought they would be this year.
Oh, yeah.
They have improved under him, but you're right. He hasn't. He left Louisville, and then they went to the Sugar Bowl or wherever it was. So anyways, guys, final thoughts here on the West Virginia loss. Jackson, you've said the whole time, ever since Richard got this job, that the West Virginia was going to follow a similar trend to Houston or Arizona State, where they're not just going to be 6-6 next year in their second year. You really believe West Virginia's got a chance to win 8, 9, 10 games next year in year 2?
3 words. Yes, definitely. Absolutely. I know they can. Especially when you see the schedule they've got. The
next year's schedule.
Yeah, I'm looking at next year's schedule. The conference schedule's not Well, we know who they're going to play in conference play, but we don't know when the
No, we don't
conference
know
game is going
when,
to be
yeah.
played. We'll know that by January 2026 or early February 2026. But Virginia, I mean, they're not going to be anything to brag about next year. I don't think.
I don't know, man. They got a lot better, haven't they?
Yeah, but every game this year has just been a tight game for Virginia. They're
Right.
I don't think West Virginia is going to let them off scot-free, in my opinion. But yeah, you do have to go to Iowa State, TCU, Texas Tech, and Utah next year. But you got Arizona, Houston, Oklahoma State, Kansas, and Cincinnati coming to your backyard next year.
Yeah, it's fair. It's definitely fair.
yeah.
You know, I mean, and you lose you lose Alabama on the schedule as well, and you gain Coastal Carolina. You know, so and I think Southern Miss. I'm trying to go by memory, but so yeah, but you know, as far as this year's team, I mean, you're not going to win another game this year unless a miracle happens next week. Which I mean, anything can happen. Anything can happen. I do believe that, but to beat Texas Tech is it's a whole different monster than trying to beat even this Arizona State team. Even if this Arizona State team was fully healthy, you know, I don't think that, you know, it would be as hard to beat them as it would be Texas Tech next week or week after next. So I forgot it's a little mini bye, which we really need. But you know, we'll have a bye week to get ready for it and all that. And Texas Tech will have a lot to play for, and it is in Morgantown. And I think we'll pack that thing out, and I'm going to be there. I've already got a ticket for that.
Oh,
so
nice.
yeah, I've already got like 10 people that want pictures with me and things, and I'm like trying to figure out how to meet up with people. Anyways, so you know, long story short, sure, maybe you pull off a crazy upset next week and it shoots you off in the off season. Even if you don't, I feel really good about the trajectory and the fight this team has shown this year, and I'm really proud of how they played overall. You know, they really did show well for themselves, and I'm proud of the guys. I just wish the miscues hadn't happened like they did happen, because you know, dropping the balls for Scotty, like there was 2 or 3 big drops in this game. You know, and like one was like on 2nd and 10. It was like it would have made it 3rd and 2. Like just little things like that. Now you're in 3rd and 10 and Scotty gets sacked, and it looks like everything was Scotty's fault. It's Scotty's fault. When in reality, if you'd have just caught the ball, it would be 3rd and 2, and you probably could pick it up with Curtis, right? So yeah, I'm like I said, very disappointed in this loss, because I feel like this iteration of Arizona State, you're at least as good as I feel like for the most part. Their defense is a little better than ours, I think, at times, but you know, West Virginia showed itself well today, and they've got every part of the team's gotten better. So let's just see what happens over the next couple weeks. At least we got a couple weeks left to talk football. We're in basketball season, and they're much better than we thought they would be. So we still have a lot to love and be happy about. And let's continue to watch this basketball team get better as we get, hey, guess what? Chance Moore will be back. That's a big one, right? So Jackson Fields will be back in the next couple of weeks. So this West Virginia basketball team is really going to be good this year, Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on, buddy, and
you're welcome.
telling me a little bit. I didn't know if my voice was going to hold up because I was screaming at the TV during the game a little bit, especially on a couple of those personal fouls. Like, what are you guys doing? That one, and the one on, and I will say this too, the one Braden Siders had, he didn't know he had thrown it yet. He spinned off the opposite tackle, and he was just trying to get there. He was on the ground trying to get there, and I don't think he realized he had thrown it already way before. Anytime you go low or high on a quarterback these days, you're going to get the call. So we're going to jump out of here. Jackson, thanks for coming on. Like I said, the Jacksonian, also Voice of College Football Alabama's channel, and you can find him on X as well.
On
At
Jackson
Jackson.
CFB, on
Yeah.
@Twitter, and on Instagram, that's Jackson Johnson 543908. And note to self, I'm going to change that Instagram handle before the end of the year.
Thanks, buddy.
You're
So,
welcome.
guys, make sure you like the video before you leave. Subscribe if you're new around here, and we will see you on the next one. Until then, guys, it's a tough loss for the Mountaineers today. Most likely, bowl eligibility is done, but there's still a lot to play for and a lot to watch for as this team continues to get better. Let's see if Scotty Fox can put up a big performance against Texas Tech. I think that would convince a lot of people. We got a lot to watch still. See you guys on the next one. Make Locked On West Virginia your first listen, but Locked On Big 12. Remember them for your second listen, and we'll see you on the next one, guys. For Jackson, he wants you to don't forget to roll damn tide, but here on this channel, don't forget to cue those country roads.